Did you know there was a great emo war? Emu war, not. I'm sure there's an emo war somewhere, but did you know there's a great emu war? I don't think I did, unless I'm mistaking it for like the hypothetical kangaroo stuff. But let's get on into it. The video's by Simila, and check out him down below. Let's get into it. Like and subscribe if you like my videos.
Hey kids, today I'm
Hello.
going to talk about the Great Emu War. So
Ooh.
here's what happened, right? Our story begins in Australia,
Mhm.
home of the upside down whopper. The year is
Ooh.
1932. A very large chunk of the country's population lives on homesteads, just
Mhm.
putting seeds in the ground and waiting for food to show up, you know. But their
Yeah.
lives are hard. Firstly, Australian soil kind of blows. It's pretty terrible for
And
farming. Like on
Australia
a scale
just
from
sucks in
Margaret
general.
Thatcher's corpse to Octomom, Australia's soil is a solid Hillary Clinton in fertility. Secondly, the whole Great Depression thing's going on, which automatically makes everything suck
Mhm.
worse. And third, and possibly most important, is the emu infestation. These
Emo.
gangly dillholes were all over the place, just walking on crops and crapping on crops and
Oh
crapping
no.
on walks and
Ugh.
cropping on craps and crabbing on docks and
Yeah.
captain on the
Just.
rocks. You get the
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah.
So
A
the
lot of
government
crap.
evaluated the situation. They were like, well, let's see. Let's weigh our options here. As a government, we could start spending even more money to secure the welfare of our citizens through this socioeconomic crisis. Money that we barely
Nah.
even have. Or alternatively, we could just start fucking slaughtering emus so at least it
Hell
looks like we're
yeah.
helping. So that's what they did. Major GPW Meredith of the Australian
Hmm.
military was put
That's
in
a
command
nice
of the
name.
operation, and he had a total of 2 soldiers at his disposal, each of which
Wow.
had a light machine gun. Additionally, the
Ooh.
pair was given a total of 10,000 rounds of ammunition to be spent on taking out emus. So on paper that
How
sounds like a
many
piece of
emu
cake.
were
They're
there?
basically just big turkeys on stilts, so
Uh
how
huh.
hard could it be? Well, apparently, pretty frickin' hard.
Ooh.
Let me learn you kids a thing or two about emus.
Okay.
First of all, emus are tough as hell. Their
Mhm.
bodies are basically like meat-laden tanks. They can
Mm.
definitely take a bullet or three and still keep running long enough to get away. Secondly, these fuckers have tactics. Like guerrilla warfare, it ain't got shit on emu warfare. They
Ooh.
start out in a big herd or flock or pod, I don't really know. Let me
Okay.
Google it. Okay, a group of emus is technically called a mob. So you got a big mob of emus, right? And as
Mob.
soon as they
I'm
sense
with the
danger, they break up
mob.
into a bunch of little mobs and start scattering in every
They
direction.
lost to
So
the
if you're
mob.
spraying them down with a machine gun, you can't just whip it around all over the place. You have to focus your fire on one group at a time, meaning most of the others could get away pretty easily. I don't
Hmm.
know if they had like a huddle beforehand or if this is just some coincidental product from their ridiculous bird minds, but it was effective either way. So
Mhm.
between these two things, taking out the emus ended up being a huge struggle. Here's the story on what happened. So the crew went out in search of emus. The first time they found a mob, they started shooting before the guns were in range, so most of the emus got away. The second time, they waited until the emus were closer, but then
Mhm.
the gun jammed, so most of the emus got away. And this sort of pattern
How
went on
were
for a
guns
while.
so
At one point, they
bad
tried
back
getting on the
then?
back of a truck first so they could chase down the mob, but the truck wasn't fast enough to catch
Would
up, and
it
the ride was so bumpy that they truck first so they could chase down.
redrew this piece of shit 3 times as close to a truck as it's gonna get? It's 3 at night. Fucking sue me. Well,
The
I mean,
mob,
I
but
don't.
the truck
I think
wasn't
it looks
fast enough to
good.
catch up, and the ride was so bumpy that they couldn't aim properly, so most of the emus got away. By the time they got a fourth of the way through their ammo, after 2,500 shots, only 300 or so had been killed, which is tiny compared to the 20,000 birds said to be roaming
Ah,
the
twenty
outback. At this
thousand.
point, they were like, alright, if I have to look at one more of these Jimmy-legged big bird wannabes, I'm gonna start screaming, so you know what? Fuck it. Let the farmers handle it. Then the farmers were like, hey, jackholes, we're still starving out here. You still haven't given us those subsidies you promised. We had to feed the kids fucking dingo meat, which, you know, it's a nice change of pace to have the kids eating the dingoes for once, but that's beside the point. Could you dicks keep at least trying to help us? Thanks. The guys were like, alright, don't get your bogans in a bundle. We'll keep going if only to prove a point. So they kept going, just finding mobs, thinning them out slightly,
Mhm.
rinse and repeat, until finally they only had like 100 bullets left.
Oof.
In total, the unit only had 986 confirmed kills. Some emus might have also died from their wounds after the fact, but still, a very large portion of the hordes was still alive. So the
Yeah.
military was forced to surrender for real this time. Yes, that's right, kids. The emus won the war. Of
Let's
course, the victory didn't
go.
last too long, because after the failed operation, the government put out a bounty on the emus, and that worked pretty well. Something like 50,000 bounties ended up being cashed out over 6 months in 1934.
50,000. I thought. I thought it was 20.
So the lesson here,
Well, I
kids, is
guess
that if you want to commit
breeding.
mass murder,
I don't
don't
know how quick they
crowdfund,
breed.
crowdsource. Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
till next time, I'm Salmonella, and thank you for watching.
Thank you for making the video. Mm-hmm. Hope you enjoyed. And would you win against the emus? Do you have like two good buddies that could help alongside you that would actually do more damage? Let me know below. And until next time, bye.